Hello everybody, my name is Hammock. So, a new build has come out for MidAir, which basically changes a lot of stuff about the engineer. A lot of stuff different from what I previously did in my video. Still has the basic premise, still has the same buildings, but different ways of getting it, different progression and such. But before I go into the engineer rework, I would like to just go over some important things that I forgot to mention in the previous video. And this advice came from the helpful people at the MidAir Discord. So, good thing to know is that when the shield generator is down, as well as losing the ability to use inventory stations and vehicle stations and such, you also spawn a lot slower. And you spawn slower based on your heavy armor or medium armor. Anything higher than light gives you extra spawn times, as well as the weapons that you're carrying. So, Big Boy here spawns 4.5 seconds slower than the Flag Runner, which is a medium armor, that's about 7.5 seconds. So, if I were to K out right now, I would have to wait 14 seconds to spawn in this heavy loadout. Which is why I want to introduce the emergency spawn mechanic. A thing where you spawn immediately with light armor and like a loadout. And what I thought you could do is build an inventory station as the engineer class, and then immediately get your loadout so you can basically respawn a lot faster and bypass this. But the devs thought about this, and they give you your loadout. See, I have my the loadout I like to use with my engineer tool and charge regen, but I'm still on light armor, so it's scaled it down. So I can't use these deployable ones, which I would have basically deployed everywhere near spawn points. But instead, if you go to an inventory station that isn't taken down, because the ones around the base are taken down from the generator, if you go to these little outpost ones near the side, you can go to these main inventory stations and get your full loadout. But it's worth noting these are a fair distance from your spawn, so whether you want to do the safe 15-second respawn for your full loadout, or spawn faster, spend the time trying to get to one of these places and get your loadout, is up to you, because these are pretty choky. These are well designed so that this room, not only are you standing in the inventory station for a good few seconds, you're also standing in this very cramped space, so a smart attacker who bombed the enemy gen room could easily camp around this area, wait for people trying to go for their emergency loadouts, and then just spam grenades in this room. So be aware that this is a tactic you can do if you want to get your loadout and your spawn really quickly after dying, but also be aware that there is counterplay to it and you can be punished. So in this new build, they made an engineer rework. They changed quite a few things about it, and we're going to have a look at the patch notes on the blog right now. So, engineer rework. The engineer has been reworked to add more variety to the role, so players can choose more about the style of engineer they want to play. We've added several augments as part of this rework, so let's get into it. General. The engineer pack now has one fewer charge than before for each armor. This means that light armor now has one charge that was 2, medium has 2 charges that was 3, and heavy armor has 3 charges that was 4. This change was made to better balance the augments we're introducing in this patch and provide more decision making to engineers as they determine how to adjust their playstyles and strategies. Okay, so this means that if you want to build an inventory station, for example, which takes 3 charges, you have to be heavy armor. Or, added in this later thing, you can have an extra charge, so you can be a medium armor with this additional charge. This means that you could, for example, play a very fortification and defense version of an engineer, where you take heavy armor, and so you get the 3 charges, and because you're heavy armor, you have more HP, but you're also a bit slower, so you want to stay in the base and build a lot of things. But it also means you can go light armor, be a lot more mobile. You only have 1 charge though, so unless you take the additional +1 charge passive, you can only build sensors, which means you can go a lot more mobile and a lot more supporty in that you rush out and immediately go into the midfield and the area where it's more no man's land and riskier to maneuver, and start placing sensors around to help your team get information of where the enemy team is. So you have these interesting different ways of playing the engineer role, which is very nice. I like the variety. So we have our charge regen primary passive. We have a primary and a secondary passive in this game that gives us extra things. So we have to choose between either having the charge regen or the +1 charge. So it can either be a medium with +3, or a light with +2, or a heavy with +4. Or we can have our charge regen. This means that like if you have the +1 charge, you'll have to keep going to inventory stations to get your charges back. So it kind of roots you in place if you want to like keep building a lot of buildings, because you have to stay around that, or you can choose to have your extra regen. So that's an option that you have to choose. You have the charge pickup as one of the secondary passives that they're adding, which means the little like ammo packs that you get on the ground when you kill an enemy will now give you charges. So instead of being routed to the inventory stations or routed with the charge regen to like playing around a certain area, you could take the light armor, you could take the charge regen, so you can just keep placing a lot of sensors, and then you can take this as your secondary passive, so you can go out into no man's land, place a bunch of sensors, kill enemies that you detect, and then pick up their charges and use them to place more things. It also means that you can take the +1 charge and the charge pickup, so your light armor with 2 charges, which means you can build turrets, because turrets take 2 charges, place those turrets in the midfield, and then use the kills that you get to fuel building more turrets and more buildables. So there's a lot of different playstyles you can get from this. You now have the engineer tool as a secondary passive, which is nice, because in the previous build you had to choose between either having the engineer as a class or the repair tool as a class, because the repair tool can be used to repair yourself and your teammates. So you can kind of play as a medic, but this means you can play as engineer and have a repair tool instead of having to switch out the entire engineer class to use the repair tool, which didn't feel as good. So it's nice that there's like an option to have a repair tool. They are saying that they're going to make a differentiation between the engineer tool and the repair tool, but that's going to come out later. So maybe the base repair tool is going to be a lot stronger, and the engineer tool maybe overheats, or maybe has shorter range or something. But currently the engineer tool is functionally similar to the repair tool. There's also new custom effects for the vehicles and such. I personally don't tend to use vehicles in games, but I'm going to go over them real quick, because people may be interested in being a vehicle-based engineer. So I guess first of all we should go and fix our generator. Let's head into our base. See, everything's got like crosses for it, showing that there's no power allocated to anything. I'm also very slow because I'm using this heavy armor. Let's pull out my engineer tool. I can activate my button that I press to activate this PDA, and I can press number 4. I can use the mouse, pull out the engineer tool, and start repairing. Nice. Oh, they added some nice shows how the points I'm getting. Yeah, nice. I like this feedback I'm getting. So the generator is now repaired. All stations are active. Nice. Whoever destroyed this generator is gonna have a bit more trouble next time. Go build and head to the inventory station to reset my charges. You can still go to the inventory station to reset your charges even if you have charge regen. It's also worth noting another thing, that in chat you could see 1 of 6 sentinel turrets deployed. Let me just place another one, like a land turret, which I can only place outside on the land. In chat, 1 of 6 land turrets deployed. Now, previously I came to the conclusion that that's a lot of turrets that you can build, but that's actually the cap for the server, which makes a lot more sense. So, essentially 1 person can fill up the cap for the amount of buildings that you can place on the server. I hope that they do some changes to that later, so there's like a minimum amount that each person can make, but so that 1 person doesn't exceed the cap for the entire team. Especially since destroying these also counts as like friendly fire, and can make you lose a bunch of score if you do it to a friendly's building. So there is a lot of bad potential for that, and hopefully that gets looked into, but it shouldn't be a problem right now. Let's look at the request vehicle, there we go. We have the fighter, the hover tank, and the bomber. Also, I want to note that I am terrible when it comes to piloting vehicles, so probably gonna... You cannot pilot this vehicle, but it'll build anyway. Okay, I think I can't pilot it because I'm heavy armor. It's a fighter. I don't fit in there. Makes sense. Okay, let me just K out, change to structurally versatile boy or girl. There we go. Can I fit into here? Nice. This is like a fighter plane, and oh my god, I don't know how to fly this. Oh no. Good thing I'm an engineer, because this is not going to land safely. Ugh. Okay, so this is one of the vehicles you can choose from. Fly around, shoot people. I don't think every map has a vehicle pad, it's only some maps. I'm currently on CTF Verdant. This thing's pretty cool. It moves pretty, like, slow. It's hard to turn sharply. So a keen gamer can probably shoot me down. This seems like a good thing to use for, like, aerial defense. Okay, let's get out of this. Oh, that's actually some decent speed. So potentially, even if you don't plan to use the vehicles a lot, just like sitting in the vehicles, you could use it just as a speed boost. So if you're a chaser, or if you want to get like a fat rollout setting up, you could spawn in one of those vehicles, drive out near a rollout, and then get out and then use it as like an extra speed boost to start up your rollout. Or capping the flag, or bombing somebody, I don't know. Let's check out these other vehicles. Okay, what we got now? We got the hover tank. You will teleport your vehicle when it's being assembled. Okay, ooh. Ooh. This is cool. Whoa. This has got 1,800 HP. And I have to right click to deploy it so I can't move. Switch to the gunner seat. So I assume you could probably have 2 people in here, or you have to just micro between. Oh cool, it tells me where it's gonna land. That's nice. I've got like a nice cannon. I could probably sit here and just wait for cappers to come in and get some sick air shots. That's another vehicle we can use. And I assume we can also repair. Yeah, we can. Nice. So if you have a teammate being a tank defending the team, you can probably just sit there and be their healer. Yeah, let's check out this final vehicle. The bomber. The bomber delivers shock and awe from above. I will teleport in the vehicle. Oh, cool. This looks neat. 800 HP. Use flares. Oh, cool. This is probably for if someone locks on with a missile launcher, so as countermeasures. Ooh. This is pretty fun. There's a bombardier seat and a tail gunner seat. It's gone the tail gunner. Oh shit, no, there's no one flying! Ah! Okay. Luckily it's got a little bit of a grace period. Okay. You probably get like 3 people on this. Oh no. There we go. Okay. This is a little bit easier to fly than the previous one. But you also don't have guns in this seat. I can probably see myself using this if they released much bigger maps, like the equivalent of like conquest maps in like Battlefield. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, this is pretty relaxing. Look at this. We get like a nice like aerial shot of the map. Let's see how much speed we get when we leave this. Oh wow, that's actually some pretty good speed. And crater. Yeah. Okay, cool. So those are the vehicles. Most likely going to see those on your CTF game. I doubt they'll be in Deathmatch or the Rabbit game mode. These are the changes that they have made for the current build, which is most likely going to be the build on release. So hopefully, when the game comes out, we'll see a lot more people interested in the engineer role, much as I am. Thank you for watching this. I hope you learned a lot. I'm also going to edit together a bunch of little funny clips I got from playing some like pugs and me being terrible at the game, just to highlight the cool, interesting moments you can have in this game. So, thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.